So when I outsource, why is it that I hire people exclusively in the Philippines? Now, Julie brought this question to me, like, why hire people in the Philippines? How do I do that? I'm going to show you the tool that I use to find great people, and I'm going to teach you exactly why I hire people there.
I'm excited.
So I've actually been hiring people in the Philippines for 9.5 years. And one of the first people that I hired, he's been with me 8.5 of those years. No, it's been 9 years now. So one of those people has been with me 9 years, and I just met him last November when I went to the Philippines for the first time. And I'm hiring 3 more people tonight. I did a trial with 7 different people this week, doing a trial video editing project. 3 of them really shined, and so my team's going to be up to 14. So excited.
So you were doing this like before it was cool. Like lately, the last 3 years, I've seen a lot of people doing it, but 9 years ago, that was pretty new stuff back then.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Ferriss wrote the book, The 4-Hour Work Week, and he introduced that concept to me of outsourcing, but it still seems so foreign to me. Had to throw that pun in there. It really did. It like I applied a lot of his principles of efficiency and working smarter, not harder, and whatnot. But the outsourcing, I never really applied. And then a good friend of mine, John Jonas, he's become a good friend now. He taught me how to backcountry ski this year. I listened to an audio of his. I remember I was driving to the airport, going to pick up my mother-in-law, and I learned why the Philippines and how easy it was to find somebody to hire. And so within like 36 hours, I'd hired my first full-time employee. And within a few months, I was up to 10.
Holy
and
cow.
I had a web design company.
So tell me why the Philippines instead of some other country out there. There's a lot of countries that, I guess they have cheap labor. A lot of, if you see telecommuting companies, they're always based in like India. So tell me a little bit why about the Philippines.
Yeah, so a lot of telephone stuff's India. A lot of manufacturing's China or Indonesia or Taiwan. Why the Philippines? Well, a lot of reasons. Like if you hire somebody on your team from a place like India, they're great people. They're very skilled, but they're also very entrepreneurial. They end up becoming your competition. And another reason is there's just a difference in mindset and culture and like language, and so communication is kind of a challenge, even when they understand English really well. And this is what I was taught. I went straight to the Philippines because I was taught this principle, and I have experimented with it when I've used like Fiverr and stuff.
Exactly.
But when you communicate and you say, okay, do you understand? And they say, yes, I heard you. Like, did you hear words coming out of my mouth? That's what they're hearing you ask.
Yeah, and you're like, did you really understand the entire project and what's required?
Yeah, so in the Philippines, English is their second language, but it's a high second. It's taught in every school. All their signage is in English. They watch English, spoken television, Americanized television mostly, and they really understand English. And then there's been a big American influence over the history of the Philippines, and so culture is kind of similar.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah. Is it affordable to hire people in the Philippines? Yes, Julie, it is.
Yes.
It's about 1/10. 1/10
Really?
of the United States.
Wow.
So if I were going to hire somebody here full time and expect to pay them about $5,000 a month, plan on paying somebody in the Philippines about $500 per month full time.
Nice. So is that a really good wage for them? Are they looking for these jobs because they're like, wow, that's more than they would have gotten regularly out there?
It's a really good question. And when I was there in November, I vlogging style, I was asking each of my team members, and I said, hey, you have worked for me for a while. Can you tell me, do you think that I'm taking advantage of you for paying you the amount that I do to work for me full time? And they all said no. And they all gave me a combination of 3 different reasons why. They say, it's a great opportunity. I wouldn't be able to have this good of an income if I worked for another job. Unless I worked in the heart of Manila, I might be able to make more money. But then they said the second benefit was transportation. Traffic is crazy
Nice.
in Manila, like hours. So you have to pay for the transportation, whether it's your own car and gas or public transportation, the time it takes. So they say, because we don't have to commute, this is amazing. I get to work from home. I get to control my schedule. So they said the transportation and commute, all of them were mentioning that, which was kind of surprising to me. They mentioned opportunity, and they also I think the other word that they mentioned pretty consistently was that it was a blessing in their life. And it made me feel really
That's
good.
Awesome.
Like, I've definitely felt the benefit to me. It is such a blessing to me to be able to hire such skilled, capable, wonderful, genuine, warm people and pay such an amazing price. And I'm starting to feel the emotion as I describe this story. So when I met all my team together for the first time, it was at a fancy restaurant that I was treating them to. And they all kind of came in one by one. And then I'm sitting there, and at the time I had 10 people on my team. So there's like 5 here, 5 here. And they were sending love my way. They were like, we appreciate you so much. And I didn't expect that. I felt like, okay, we're having a business meeting. Is it going to be awkward? Are we going to get along? These were my concerns. We all got along great. And I just felt so appreciated. I'm just like, wow, I've made a big impact in all these lives. I provide their livelihood.
Wow.
So anyway, kind of a long answer to your question there. But it's a great, I mean, they wouldn't accept the job if it weren't a benefit to them. And it's also nice when they do amazing things for you. You can give them bonuses, you can give them pay raises and stuff like that too. I've got a guy that's been on my team for about 4 years that he's just really shown up in a major way, really shown a lot of dedication and loyalty to the company. And I pay him about $1,000 a month.
Nice.
So, and it's obviously it's something that he asked for, and I said, you know what? Absolutely. And I actually gave him more than he asked for but I gave him more responsibility too.
Well, it goes that way, right? So another question I had was about the technology involved in having people work for you overseas. Like in the Philippines, do they have high-speed internet? Do they have access to computers and things that they're going to need to be able to work on the projects you give them?
So the answer is yes. And there's plenty of people I'm sure that don't, but there's hundreds of thousands of people that do have great internet, great computers, and they have college educations in areas that what we are looking for, like computer or marketing or different degrees that they have. Everyone's educated. Everyone that I come across has a college degree. Like, there are disadvantages. Sometimes they'll have power outages. They have hurricanes and typhoons and flooding. Okay, my assistant that I just mentioned that I gave him a pay raise about a year ago, maybe less than that, maybe last fall, he sent me a photo of him in his living room, where somebody took a photo of him. It was full, like 2 feet deep of flood water.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I'm like, we were communicating on Boxer.
And
I said, how do you have internet? How do you have power? And he says, oh, we have power upstairs. I'm like, okay. And in November I went and I saw, so it must have been further ago than fall, because I went in November, and it was probably 6 months prior to that. But I went in his home and they cleaned it up, and it was beautiful, and the woodwork they were able to keep it
good,
safe and whatnot. But he had explained that area they had supposedly they had flooding years prior to that, and they had supposedly fixed the drainage, and they thought they'd never have that problem again. But
oh my goodness,
it obviously backed up or something, and so during a typhoon or whatever, that whole area was underwater by a couple feet.
But then they were still able to have internet and stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Another instance with a typhoon or something, a tree branch had knocked down their internet line, and he was out of internet for a few days.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's issues like that we typically don't experience here, but you get to realize that those things are real, and just have team members in different areas that can cover for each other. Another thing is the time zone difference.
Oh yeah.
I'm totally used to it now, but in the beginning, I kind of looked at it as an advantage, because I could work 9 to 5, and 5 o'clock is, depending on daylight savings, it's like 7 or 8 in the morning for them the next day.
Oh, nice.
So I finish my work day, I assign them tasks, and by the time I wake up in the morning, they've had 8 hours of work to work on all those tasks. So it's kind of like, I really, wow, I'm working while I sleep, type of thing.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
That's cool.
One other thing that I'll talk about is entrepreneurial. Like, they're so loyal. I've never had to worry about training my competition. And I feel so appreciative, and I love them so much that, like, if they did want to venture out and do something entrepreneurial, I'm really excited for them to succeed. And they've been working for me up to 9 years, but they just love the security that is provided by a long-term job. This is typically what happens. They'll get a job making $400 a month, where they have to leave their home, go to another island, or go on a cruise ship.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And they're gone for like 6 months at a time, sending their money back to their family. Then they come home and they don't have a job anymore. And so they're trying to find another job where they can leave for 6 months, make $400 a month. So if I can pay them $500 a month, they get to work from home, They only have to work 40 hours, and they get to control, their schedule. If they're, I have several women that work for me that are mothers, have young ones to take care of. They can juggle things with their husband and just work from home. So it's a win-win.
It's a
win-win. I love it. So do you want to see how I find?
Yes.
So I'll bring up this website, virtualassistanttool.com, and I'm already logged in. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom, I'll click on Advanced Skill Search. All right, so what's a skill set that you would love somebody to have?
We're looking for somebody who can do our ClickFunnels pages. We have a lot of things that we're doing with ClickFunnels, and if somebody could just build those out for us, it would be saving my freaking life now.
So I don't think that that would be under marketing. I don't think ClickFunnels is actually in here yet. There's a lot. There's like Instagram, but this is alphabetical. I don't see ClickFunnels. So what I'll do is I'll add ClickFunnels as a keyword. And I'm going to leave everything else blank. What these stars represent is if somebody with email marketing, if they're really good, they'll rate themselves as a 4-star. And there's only a limited number of categories that a person can rate themselves 4 or 5 stars.
Right.
So it is a pretty good way that you can really narrow it down. But I'm just going to leave that blank, and I'm going to put in ClickFunnels there as a keyword. Let's see, I'll have ID proof score above 70. You can go lower, but this really just says that they are who they say they are.
Yeah.
It verifies it through a variety of means, including their Facebook account and stuff. You can go further back. Like, when's the last time they updated their profile here? So I'm just saying people that have been here a month or less. And let's just see. Let's see what we can come up with here. Okay, so this brings up 231 different people that have ClickFunnels in their profile. So they know something about it. So then what I would do here is just, in fact, this first person has ClickFunnels in the title. Mm-hmm. So they are specifically saying, hey, I want you to hire me. I can help you with ClickFunnels. So this would be a person to look at. And she's asking for $291 per month. That's what she's asking for.
Right.
And usually you can negotiate. I don't know that I would want to pay
so
somebody less.
I'm not going to pay anything less than that for full time.
But yeah, because this is 40 hours a week that she's asking for. And so if I wanted to reach out to her, I just click on that link right there, click on contact, and send her a message. This goes right to her email. There's no one in the middle.
Oh, sweet.
You're just communicating with them directly. And when they reply, it'll go to your email inbox. Mm-hmm. Because there's 231. You could narrow it down more. And if you wanted only people that had a picture, narrow results. Let's see, from 231, that took us down. It only eliminated 2 people.
To 229.
So everyone had a photo on there. Carlo, he's a WordPress developer. So I just like to quickly look. Like it is, okay, he's mentioned ClickFunnels. He's got lots of different things there. So it's just kind of I don't necessarily like to filter it too much at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I like to just find they might be a good person to reach out and let them apply. And then as they apply, you can narrow it down more and more. But
Gotcha.
I'll explain that in a little bit more detail. But let's just comb through a few more people here. Mm-hmm. There's Rockstar Virtual Assistant. Okay, she didn't put her name in there, which is interesting.
Yeah.
That's where their name goes.
Her name is Rockstar.
Yeah. So I don't know. She's self-motivated. If you view the full profile, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not that big of a deal. You'll learn their name eventually, but that is kind of odd that they don't put their name in there.
Yeah.
She looks friendly. All right, Armando. Okay, he's asking for $873 a month. And maybe he's had a lot more experience, and it's worth paying that amount. I have somebody on my team that I do pay more than that, but we didn't start at that level. And I don't know, just until somebody has the experience, and specifically with ClickFunnels here, I'm just thinking in my mind, it depends on what their track record is. Because if somebody knows ClickFunnels inside and out, and they can just take it off your hands, but that's probably not likely. What's most likely is that they know their way around ClickFunnels, but you're going to need to give them specific instructions on what you want them to do.
Exactly.
And then okay, but I want you to get better at this. Take this course, and bit by bit they'll get better and better and more valuable to you. Mm-hmm. And that's when a payment like that would be more realistic in my mind. Just because somebody asks for it, if you say, you know what, I'm looking to hire somebody for about $500 a month, or you tell them in pesos, like 23 Filipino pesos a month, 23,000, is that what I said? Then they can either say yes or no. They'll say that's actually lower than I was hoping for. well then you know, and you can discuss it from there. So what I'll typically do, and in fact I'll tell you what I just did last week. I reached out to probably 40, maybe even 50 different people, and I sent them a message. And it was short, saying, I'm looking for another video editor. I've been hiring people in the Philippines for 9 years. We make YouTube channels for people. And if you're available to work full time and would like to know more details about this position and how to apply, let me know. So it's just a brief message like that. So for the people that replied, I made them a selfie video. And I just talked to them and I said, hey, I'm Nate Woodbury, and I told them more about my company. I told them more about the position. And I explained, I want you to make a selfie video to apply to me. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of a challenging step, but I'm hiring them to do video editing. So I wanted to see what they would do in making a video for me.
Gotcha.
And I got 9 video applications, and 2 of them were okay. 7 of the video applications were really, really good. I'm like, I want to hire all 7 of these people. So I actually then, I decided I'm going to hire 3. I'm going to hire 3 of these 7 I'm going to hire. I wish I could hire more. I'm going to hire 3. But I assigned all 7 of them a trial assignment, a video editing project for one of my more difficult channels that there's more ums and uhs we have to edit out. And it's, so I said, I'm going to give you a challenging video, and here's what I'm looking for. And I showed them some examples of videos, the style that we do. And I let them know, like, your trial here is to do this as close as you can to the finished product. I'm sure there's going to be things that we're going to have you revise, but if you can really put your heart into this to really do the best job that you can in creating the output that we want, that's really going to go a long way in knowing that you're going to be valuable in our company. And I'll pay you for this trial assignment. I'll pay you for it, but we'll hire you if you end up doing, you know, a good job for us and whatnot. And out of the 7, 5 of them said, yeah, I'll accept the amount of pay. I also talked about pay.
Yeah.
I'll accept that amount of pay, and I'll do the trial assignment. And out of the 5 that did the trial assignment, 3 of them really stood out. And so that's perfect. That's perfect. That's what I wanted to hire.
That's nice.
So I just narrowed it down that way. And it's possible that one of the 3 will be flaky or something and won't be as committed or as responsible, you know, won't work the full time. And so it's okay. I've got 2 and I can hire another one another time. I was planning on only hiring 2 additional ones, but when I saw the amazing application came, it's like, I think I'm going to hire 3.
There you go.
So anyway, sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll hire 2 when I only need 1 because one of them might flake out and not really, like, within the first week, you know, of how good they are at communicating and how you know, committed and responsible that they are. So that's typically what I'll do. But in this case, I'm hoping all 3 stick around. So, and in fact,
nice.
one of the applicants is a sister of somebody that's already on my team.
Oh, that's sweet.
So that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
I
really
love
cool.
that.
And me and my team assessing their work, we are hiring her because she did a really good job on the application, on the trial assignment. So
I love that idea of the trial assignment. Then you know what kind of work you can expect from them. I really like that idea.
Yeah. So that's how and why I hire people in the Philippines.
Awesome.
So if you found this video helpful and you'd like an outsourcing guide, I've actually put together a step-by-step guide on how and why I hire people in the Philippines. And I give you one example of how I hired these video editors, but I go through step-by-step on different ways that I've hired different people and how I train them and whatnot. And I don't have a funnel for this setup yet, so I'm actually just going to be open and say, if you email me to nate@betheherostudios.com and in the subject line put outsourcing guide, I'll hit reply and I'll put the link to my outsourcing guide. So hopefully that's helpful, and we'll see you tomorrow.